This is what happens when we find out that vampires and werewolves exist. They don't go dating boring-ass high school chicks. We hunt those bitches down. We go to war with them.
I love how in that trailer, she's like, the humans have me captured for 12 years, and this is what's happened. Vampires sparkle now. It's almost like while she was they had her captured, and somebody came and started reading those Stephanie Meyer's books to her, and she was like, "Bullshit! I gotta get out of here and stop this."
You gotta show them how we really look, along with these lycanthropes.
Vampires sparkle, werewolves get all greased up and walk around with no shirts on. Like, no, kill these bitches, man.
I gotta say, man, like with the first couple of Underworlds, I was like, well, it's okay, I guess. Kind of trashy, a little cheap looking. But in the years of Twilight, please bring me back Underworld. No, I lit up watching this.
Yeah, after Twilight, these Underworld movies are the Godfather.
I'm sorry, but you guys can say that, and to some extent, I do agree. But I guarantee you, as soon as we watch this movie, I bet you at some point we're going to go, okay, you know what? You can go back and put that shit back in the vault, all right? Because these movies always, to me, they should have been like retitled Underwhelming. Because every time I watch them, I'm like, hopefully I'll get a little excited like these trailers always promise me. But I never do. It's like I'm watching some kind of like bad BBC TV show that somehow somebody out there is still watching, and I'm still forced to watch it because that's my job. And I'm always like, man, I mean, come on. We had two great Blade movies that should have like been like some kind of roadmap to let you know where these movies should be heading. And it's like, especially with the first one, the second one, and to some extent the third one, they've all kind of failed to me. It's like, man, you make these movies dynamic. Quit making them so goddamn soap operas so I can be into them. I want to be into a film where there's a chick dressed up in leather doing badass shit. Like, I want to be into it. I want to tell my friends about it. But it just never works out that way.
Well, there's so many people who really are turned on by them. I know what you mean. Because, I watch this trailer and I get pumped up. I'm like, wow, I want to see this movie. And then I actually see that movie. I'm like, well, what happened to that movie I saw in the trailer?
Exactly.
I mean, I do like how, like, she breaks out and she's like, now, before I go take care of business, I got to go get my Matrix Trinity costume.
Oh, ain't that something? The moment she busts out the hospital, what she do? She finds the first S&M shop she could go to, gets the tightest fucking outfit, which... If this shit was real, which of course it's not, but if she tried to do any of that shit, all that jumping and flipping and all those acrobatics, that shit would be so tight she wouldn't be able to spread her legs.
Well, I want to go, hey, look, girlfriend, this ain't 1990 anymore, all right? That's been done to death. Like find something else to wear.
Well, you could see, part of the marketing behind this, because it's like, okay, before we do anything, she's naked, but first thing we got to do is get her in a tight leather suit, and we got to shove the camera up her ass.
Oh yeah,
it seems when she's crawling through the vent. Yeah, and I'm like, wow, cameraman, just not subtle at all.
And better yet, shoot it in Smurf vision, because all these goddamn trailers are like, how bright blue do I need these movies to be?
Yeah. Of course, we're talking about Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah,
who's in this. I mean, these movies are based on a cool premise. It's werewolves versus lichens, as the scientific term.
Come on, man. Who is there a scientist amongst
I know the clinical term.
Vampires versus werewolves.
A lycanthropologist who only studies werewolves.
It's
a crazy house himself.
Yeah, you're right. It's werewolves versus vampires. I mean, meets Abbott and Costello. But that's cool. It seems like it's a very cool premise. I had a problem with the first two movies because I just thought that they were boring, and especially that first movie. I thought that the first movie centered on the werewolves and the vampires being afraid of the same thing, like some guy who was a mixture of both, right. I guess. And the guy they had for that role was the most boring. I mean, you got a guy who's half werewolf, half vampire. He should be all badass, and that dude was the most boring actor.
Half vampire, half werewolf, all forgettable.
All bullshit.
Was that Scott Speedman in that role, or was he the cop? It's been so long since I saw
I cannot remember, but but those first two movies I didn't like. The third one I actually enjoyed. Now the third one I don't even think was all that good, but they left all that political, social issues between the vampires and the world, and they just went out to all fighting and plus, exactly, man. And they had Michael Sheen, who was the guy, and see, I liked him because this went back to maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe it's me can connect into like slave history and shit because they present it this way. The werewolves are like the black people of this world. They're slaves and the vampires are just total assholes. They're the ones just walking around, oh boy, you know, out of my face, hound, you know, and they're British. Tote that bar, lift that bell, pull that slave. You know?
Eurotrash aristocrats.
Yeah, they were just they were just assholes, man. And so you were rooting for, by the third movie, they showed that struggle where the werewolves are just getting their ass whipped and having to like build castles like slaves building the pyramids. And Michael Sheen was cool as the leader of the revolt. Yeah. And that's what I liked about that
when you
movie.
had an opportunity to see him and see what was going on, because that last movie was so goddamn dark. I was like, wow, you know what? Bring back that Smurf vision, because I can't see shit right now. I was like, there's a lot of action going on, but it's so goddamn dark. I know. Yeah. And it wasn't even in 3D, which is like, okay.
Oh, seriously?
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I remember that was like my only serious like problem with that movie.
Well, that wasn't in 3D. Well, I was looking at another thing about that movie. It's a period piece. And now this one is the future. And for some reason, you would tell people really want to be vampires because we got these scenarios now where in the future the virus isn't going to be anything that we know of now. It ain't going to be bird flu or AIDS taking out everybody, anything like that, or some epidemic. It's going to be everybody's going to turn to vampires, or some sort of vampirism is going to spread. And it seems like in this movie there's a threat of that happening because they say this is what happens when society discovers that this underworld of vampires and werewolves exists, and we go hunting after them.
Yeah. It seems like it seems like a combination of the first movie, where once again you have a hybrid that everyone needs to like get rid of or save, and there's also the whole aspect of Daybreakers. That's what I'm thinking coming into play. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, this makes for a interesting premise, even though I've seen that premise in other vampire movies.
Yeah, it's just. When looking at this, the only thing that I'm upset about, or the thing that has me a little nervous about this film, and like I said, I've never been big fans of any of them really. Even the third one, I'm just like, it's fun, but it's still stupid. Is that it's like they just said, fuck it, man. You know, it's like they just, you know, these things are making money already, and let's just go ahead and cash in on stuff that's out there. Of course, The Matrix.
Yeah.
You know,
well, The Matrix, all
that slow motion with a black suit. You know,
a lot of Blade. As a matter of fact, I don't see why they don't just go ahead and break Wesley Snipes out of jail and get him to play Blade in these movies.
I mean, I want a Blade movie, because every time I see a movie like this, I'm like, wow. I was like, why isn't Wesley Snipes making? Oh, he's in jail.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's in jail making Blade. He's using a broken spoon.
Yeah, he's wishing he was Blade.
You know what? That should be Wesley Snipes at the beginning of this movie. I was locked up 12 years for taxes, and now the vampires and werewolves take over. See what happens when you lock my black ass up. This shit happens. You get these bad movies.
But I mean, I always think like, I wish Blade still. I don't know, man. It seems like for some reason I always think that people don't really respect the Blade movies as much as they should, because with the exception of the third one was bullshit. Even Wesley Snipes hated that third movie.
Right.
I don't blame him. But I mean, it's like, wow, you watch the action in those movies. I mean, even the first Blade film, the first opening scene where, I mean, you get
iconic.
You get goosebumps when you watch that, and I'm like, wow, fucking somebody watch those damn Blade movies before you make these Underworld bullshits, because, I mean, every time I see this, like, okay, they're too busy watching Resident Evil instead of watching Blade.
Well, that was going to be my other point here. That when I said they were taken from different movies, the Matrix, of course. Which, I mean, come on, you know, how many years are they trying to
steal cash? The most influential movie of all time.
Yeah,
and so many movies have just taken that look and ripped off parts of it.
I mean, this might as well be, it might as well almost be, you know, the next Matrix movie. Almost, you know, they went to some program where vampires and werewolves exist, but it really looks like they are, in more blatantly than anything else we mentioned, are the Resident Evil movies, because this is almost like Mila Jovovich, in these movies, the Alice characters.
They're completely interchangeable. I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, you got the hot chick whose husband is directing these action movies that may have them star in them over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're right.
But that's not the case with this. This is a Swedish director that's directing.
It's a new
it.
director,
okay.
but the guy who
did the
directed
first-
her in the first two, that was the guy she was
the
dating,
guy who
or
directed
married
this
to.
movie. I'm not going to even try and say his name, but he directed a movie called Storm. I think that might have been from a foreign film.
Okay.
I'm not sure. People can tell me. But then he directed another movie with Julianne Moore, and I can't remember what that is.
It's called Nobody Gives a Shit.
Was Julianne Moore in black latex killing monsters that we don't give a fuck? All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
When's that other Underworld movie coming out?
It was called Shelter.
With your
By the way,
wife.
by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
Shelter.
Oh,
yeah.
Shelter. Okay.
Yeah, which they sheltered this movie because nobody heard that shit.
Oh, I
But
feel like I saw that.
maybe you did. I
Well, you're
didn't
not
see
thinking
it.
about the independent movie we saw just recently.
No.
Wasn't
Take
that
Shelter. Not
that's
that
Take
one.
Shelter. Okay,
Right.
No, but where I thought that they had a good idea of maybe playing up this war, and they might do it, but again, playing up this whole thing of, because again, it goes back to me. I always I love movies like Spartacus.
How are you relating Spartacus to
Because
Underworld?
I tell you how. Because like I said in the third one, it was an uprising of slaves, and so now I want to see that played out more.
Yeah.
I want to see these vampire